Hey friend, thanks so much for stopping by. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a strategy that I have been using with my first grader in teaching him about subtraction. We did really well with one-digit subtraction and addition, but then we started getting into subtracting one-digit numbers from two-digit numbers, and it just kind of threw him for a loop. So I took some time to reset, and we worked on this particular strategy, and it really helped it click with him. So I'm going to show you what I did with him, and I hope that it will help you in teaching your student. All right, this is the first component that I worked on with my first grader. I wanted him to get a really good grasp of what I call the 10 buddies, which means there are two pairs of numbers that go together to make 10. So I set out our counters just like this in order so that he could see right away this pattern, which he definitely noticed that the red counters looked like a stair step. And then I have our 10 frames laid out as well, because it's just another visual representation that helps those two pairs of numbers stick out really clearly. So we went through really slowly, one at a time. I said, okay, how many red counters are there? There's 10. So 10 red counters down here. And how many white counters? 0. So these two numbers are our 10 buddies. 10 and 0 are buddies that make a 10. Then we moved on to the next piece. Okay, how many red counters are here? Well, there's 9. How many white counters are there? There's 1. 9 and 1 are 10 buddies. They make 10. And we went through, and he tried to rush through it and just say all the numbers, and I really wanted him to slow down so that he was seeing the visual representation of it and hearing me say the numbers out loud and him say the numbers out loud. Just more and more repetition to get those 10 buddies in place. After we did this piece, I would point at random columns and just say, name the two 10 buddies. So I could point here and he would say 6 and 4, or 8 and 2, back and forth, just repeating over and over and over again those pairs of numbers that create 10 while having a visual in front of him. Okay, so after we played around with our manipulatives and got that really good visual representation, then we moved on to a numerical representation. So I asked him in a quiz, okay, what is 1's 10 buddy? And he would say 9. Okay, so I say 1 plus 9 is 10. Then I would ask, what is 2's 10 buddy? And he would say 8. 2 plus 8 equals 10. And it's painstakingly slow, but I had him say it, I repeat it, and I write it. Okay, what's 3's 10 buddy? He would say 7. Yes, 3 plus 7 make 10. What's 4's 10 buddy? 4's 10 buddy is 6. 4 plus 6 equals 10. So we did that with every single number set. 5 plus 5 equals 10. Now, when we continue on, it flips. And I made a point to tell him, like, okay, so because we know our fact families, we know that because 4 plus 6 equals 10, 6 plus 4 equals 10. And that helps them to immediately click like, oh my gosh, I don't have to memorize this other set. If I know these, I'm going to know the remaining fact families that belong. So then we continue on. Okay, if I know that 3 plus 7 is 10, I know that 7 plus what is 10? He would say 3. Yes, 7 plus 3 is 10. If I know that 2 plus 8 is 10, then I know that 8 plus what is 10? He says 2. Correct. 8 plus 2 equals 10. And we do that same pattern, just really slowly, where he says it, I say it, I write it, so he can see it. And just all of that repetition in different ways really helped these 10 buddies to click. So those are really solid. Then we kind of had a moment where we played a little bit of a game, and I would have him close his eyes and I would just call out a number. I would say, okay, 3, 7, 5, 5, 8, 2. Because right now we're doing it in order. So if you've got a smart kiddo like mine who is really good at pattern recognition, they're just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blah, blah, blah. But having him close his eyes where he just had to pull from his recall any given number pair. And then when I felt like he was really solid with that, then we moved on to the next piece. Okay, so everything that we have done so far, I spent one day working on with my son. We didn't move on, we just spent a lot of time reviewing those 10 buddies and playing with manipulatives to really explore that concept. So now this is what we worked on day 2, once we had those 10 buddies really solid. So what we were struggling with before were 1-digit numbers taken away from the teen numbers. So 13 minus 8. That's where it started to get a little bit complicated. Now, in our previous attempts to understand this concept, we were using number bonds, which is a really popular method for breaking apart numbers. So we would say, okay, 13 is made up of 10 and 3. So because I don't know what 13 minus 8 is, I can use that I know what 10 minus 8 is, which is 2. However, I'm not subtracting from 10, I'm subtracting from 13. So I would still have 3 left over that I would need to add back in, making my answer 5. I know if this is like new math to you, you're going crazy right now, but there is value in this, I promise. So this is helping to create the mental math strategy. And when we were doing this on paper, he was really successful at it. He could make the number bonds, subtract from 10, and add back in. That was sort of our rhyme that we would say. But then when I would say, okay, now do it mentally, like lid popped straight off. Mine did too a little bit because I was trying to follow his mental process, and it was a hot mess. So what we decided to do instead was introduce what I call a magic trick. So if I have 13 minus 8, I say, okay, we know our 10 buddies. What is 8's 10 buddy? 2. All I'm going to do is add the 10 buddy to this number, and that gives me 5. It works for all the teen numbers. So if I have 17 minus 9, 9's 10 buddy is 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. If I have 12 minus 7, 7's 10 buddy is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. So once we introduced this strategy, a light bulb just went off and it totally clicked with him. So previously we had been working on a worksheet with all of these problems, and we were on like week 2 of painstakingly struggling through it. Once we tried this, it took him 20 minutes to get through the whole thing. So it really, really, really clicked with him. So I wanted to share it in hopes that it would maybe help your student click as well. I do want to say that I think there is great value in not just teaching the magic tricks, but teaching why they work. And that is the benefit of new math, is understanding the why and not just learning the algorithms. So you can start with that previous strategy that I showed you if that helps make sense of why this works. Another strategy that you can use is setting out some 10 frame mats. I'm going to try to draw them. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you would set out 2 of them because you're making numbers beyond 10, right? So you're going to fill up 1 10 frame mat, and you can use counters, you can just cut out little pieces of paper, you can do dots, however you want. So if I'm going to say, okay, I have 12. If you've used 10 frames, this number is really easy to recognize. It represents 12. And I'm going to need to take away 7. So instead of starting here and counting back, I'm going to take away 7 from the 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 10 frames, I know very quickly that's 3 and very quickly that's 2, and together that makes 5. So 12 minus 7 equals 5. So that's the visual representation of why it works, because I was left with 7's 10 buddy and I added it back into the 1's. My son didn't need the visual representation. I think because of all the previous strategies that we had tried, he understood very quickly why our magic trick worked. But if you were starting from scratch, this might be a technique to say, you know, this is why this works, is because once we know 7's 10 buddy, it's right there. And then we're adding it into what was left over in the ones place of our teen number. So I hope that helps. I hope that you have gained some strategies to maybe help with your kiddo. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you would like to see more videos like this, math tutorials or any other kind of tutorials, please comment below and I will do my best to get some videos like that on the page. So thanks again for stopping by and have a great day.